back in December 16th of 2000. Jerry Michael Williams, he goes as Mike Williams, he's an avid duck hunter. On this particular day, he went out and did that very thing. And at the time, he was married to Denise Williams. What you're going to hear is they never came back. In the afternoon hours, Florida Wildlife Commission are contacted, as well as other family members, and they start trying to figure out where he is. Fast forward to 2003. Brian Winchester. Brian Winchester is a lifelong friend of Mike Williams. Following all of this, Brian and Denise, Mike's widow, are now starting to date. There are suspicions, and law enforcement takes another look. Mr. Winchester, do you know or did you know Mike Williams?
Yes, sir.
Prior to 2000, how did you know Mike Williams?
Mike and I went to high school together and got to know each other very well. We were very good friends. Denise and Mike were high school sweethearts. My wife, Kathy, and I were high school sweethearts. We all dated in high school and off and on through college.
At some point, did you and Denise become an item, I guess, if you will, prior to 2000?
Yes, sir. I don't know, we connected like nobody else. I mean, we just really connected, and it snowballed really fast. We started meeting in hotels. We started meeting during the workday. You know, the more we were together, the more we wanted to be together. We eventually started talking about options and ways that we could be together. Denise, because of the way she was raised, because of her pride, I guess I can't say all the reasons, but she did not want to get divorced. But she still had a desire for us to be together, which narrowed the options even further, I guess. One of the options was Mike and I going on a hunting trip together, and there being an accident where both he and I ended up in the water, and he drowned and I did not. Denise liked this idea. We could feel better about ourselves if there was a chance that he could make it out of it. You know, I mean, that was a scenario that she could live with, I guess. The plan with Mike was that I would meet him at a gas station, and I met him there. I had told him that we were going to go to a secret special spot to go hunting. I told him something like, we're running late, we need to go ahead and put our waders on, here and now. So we both did that. There was a deep area. I basically stopped the boat and got him to stand up, and when he did, I pushed him into the water. And he was like struggling. What I came to find out, or eventually realized, was he was taking the waders and the jacket off. He started to yell. And so I had my gun in the boat, and he was in the water. And as I passed by, I shot him. I knew I couldn't leave him there being shot. So I was going to have to do something to cover this up. It ended up putting him in the back of my Suburban, and I decided on an isolated dirt road boat ramp down at Carr Lake.
And a $1 million policy was actually written by Brian Winchester himself.
It was within, I think, 6 months to a year before his death occurred. He eventually decided, and I think with Denise's encouragement, decided to go ahead and get that extra $1 million policy. The next thing, obviously, that we had to deal with was the fact that his body wasn't being found. And so the concern between she and I then became, well, if his body's not found, what's going to happen with the life insurance? Basically, she had to file a petition with the court stating everything that happened and talking about what a wonderful marriage she had with Mike. There was no reason for him to run off on her, and it was granted, and she was issued a death certificate, so she was able to get the money. All of our conversations and planning and everything, I would say is very mutual. We wanted to be together.
In October 2017, Brian Winchester gives a statement to law enforcement. He confesses to murdering Mike Williams.
Brian Winchester's testimony is totally uncorroborated. In plain English, there isn't anything to back it up. You're not going to hear evidence from a witness who said that he or she saw Denise Williams participating in the planning or the execution of this murder. You're not going to hear any witness talk about DNA evidence or fingerprint evidence. No confession, no admission, nothing. Mrs. Williams did eventually marry Brian Winchester, but that was 5 years later, 5 years after her husband disappeared. Now that marriage didn't end well, and in 2015, Denise Williams filed for divorce. So in a final desperate attempt to save his marriage, he decided that he would kidnap Mrs. Williams.
This was an armed kidnapping that you'd planned for over a month?
I thought about it for a month.
He climbed into the back of her SUV, armed with a gun.
You had a gun, a loaded handgun.
Right. At some point, I calmed down and realized how ridiculous this whole situation was.
It was a little more than ridiculous. It was criminal, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, he made an agreement with the state for immunity.
You didn't straight away go to law enforcement, volunteer the details of the Mike Williams murder, did you?
Absolutely not. Denise and I were best friends. We were Bonnie and Clyde. We were partners in crime.
State of Florida versus Denise Williams. We, the jury, find as follows: as to count 1 of the indictment, the defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. As to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows: as to count 3 of the indictment, the defendant is guilty of accessory after the fact of first-degree murder.